Hi everyone, welcome to Mr. Wagon's math class. What we learned before is the addition property of inequality and the subtraction property of inequality. If you add on both sides, you get the equivalent inequality, and if you subtract the same thing on both sides, you get an equivalent inequality. Today's lesson, we will talk about multiplying and dividing inequality as an inverse operation. Something to think about when multiplying or dividing inequalities. So I need you to think about, if I multiply 2 to both sides of this inequality, -6 less than 9, multiply by 2 on both sides, you get -12 less than 18. Is that a true statement? Yes, -12 is less than 18. Here's another problem. What if you multiply both sides by -2? So multiply -2 times -6 and 9 times -2. -2 times -6 is +12. Bring less than down, and 9 times -2 is -18. Is that a true statement? Absolutely not. 12 is more than -18, not less than -18, so that's a false statement. How can we make that statement true? The inequality symbol must be reversed. So reverse the inequality to make 12 more than -18, which makes it a true statement. So multiplying positive numbers are not the same as multiplying negative numbers in inverse operation for inequality. Now, what about dividing inequality? You have -6 less than 9. Divide both sides by 3, so you end up with -2 less than 3. Is that a true statement? Is -2 less than 3? Yes, it is, so it worked. Now, the second time, we will be dividing both sides by -3. So divide -6 divided by -3 and 9 divided by -3. You get 2 less than -3. Is that a true statement? Absolutely not. This is a false statement. 2 is more than -3. So how can we make that statement true? The symbol for inequality must be reversed to make it true. So 2 more than -3, same as multiplication. In division, dividing positive numbers is different than dividing negative numbers. When you divide or multiply negative numbers, you need to reverse the symbol. But multiplying and dividing positive numbers, you keep the symbol the same. Now let's go over the properties and see how it works. Multiplying or dividing positive numbers, which means when you're multiplying or dividing C on both sides of the equation, when C is a positive number more than 0. Multiplication property of inequality, if A more than B and C more than 0, then AC is more than BC. Division property of inequality, if A more than B and C is more than 0, that means all positive numbers, then A divided by C is still more than B divided by C. As a conclusion, inequality symbol stays the same when you're multiplying or dividing with positive numbers. What about multiplying and dividing with negative numbers? When C less than 0, multiplication property of inequality, if A more than B and C less than 0, then AB less than BC. See how the inequality symbol was reversed. Division property of inequality, if A more than B and C less than 0, then A divided by C is less than B divided by C. Notice how the inequality symbol was also reversed. So as a conclusion, inequality symbol must be reversed to make it a true statement. This does not work just for more than. It works for all inequality symbols like less than, more than, less than and equal, and more than and equal. The multiplication and division for positive number and multiplication and division for negative numbers. Now let's practice with this example. Solve and graph the inequality. -15 less or equal than -3C. There is nothing in the middle. That means -3 times C. The division property of inequality, divide both sides by -3, divide by -3, and then simplify. -15 divided by -3 is 5. less than or equal to C. Since I'm dividing by a negative number for inequality, then we need to reverse the symbol. So 5 is more or equal than C. To graph it, here's the number line. Since there's an equal sign, that means I need a closed circle. Now, if it's hard to read, I wanted you to read it from right to left. So it's C less than or equal to 5. Write it down, and that means I need all the number that are less than 5. So I will be going to the left with the arrow to show all possible solutions. If I'm not sure, let's check. Is 0 less than 5? Yes, it is. Then I'm going the right direction. Here's another example. Solve the inequality. Negative 6.4 is more than or equal to 1/5 W. There's nothing in the middle. That means you multiply. But this time you have a fraction. And to get rid of the fraction, we use the reciprocal. So multiply both sides by the reciprocal of 1/5, which means flip the fraction. So it's 5/1. Multiply both sides by 5/1. Now multiply across. 5 times negative 6.4 is negative 32. And 1 times 5 is 5. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. Or they just cancel each other and bring the W down. And bring the more than or equal down. You end up with negative 32 more than or equal to W. Now, because I multiplied by a positive number where C is more than 0, then the symbol stays the same. Do not reverse it. It stays the same. But it's easy for me to read it when W is on the left side. So read it this way. W is less than or equal to negative 32. And then rewrite it. W less than or equal than 32. Okay, now we're going to work on solving real life problem. You earn $9.50 per hour at your summer job. Write and solve an inequality that represents the numbers of hours you need to work to buy a digital camera for $247. So underline, write and solve, because that's what we're trying to do. What are your clues to write the equation and solve it? The first clue, what do we need to find? We need to find the number of hours. And so we don't know what that is. We give it a letter, and this time we're gonna give the number of hours worked, M. The second clue is the total cost, $247. Can I make more than $247 in my summer job to afford the camera? Yes, but at least $247. And that's a clue that the minimum amount I need to make is $247, so I use more than or equal as my inequality symbol. Now I will color code it to see how to write the equation. Earning per hour times the number of hours has to be more or equal to the cost of the camera. And the earning per hour is $9.50 times the number of hours, which is N, more or equal to 247. Now we need to solve for N to find all possible solutions. The division property of inequality, when C more than 0, the symbol stays the same. So keep that in mind. Divide by 9.5 on both sides. You get N is more than or equal to 26 hours. That means you have to work at least 26 hours to buy the camera. Can I work 27 hours, 28 hours, or more than that, or 26.2 hours? Yes, you can. And that's why all possible solution, 26 and more. Now, can we estimate to see if my solution is right? Without doing all this, we use compatible numbers. So estimate $9.50 to $10 and $247 if I estimate that to $250. Then divide both sides by 10 because compatible numbers are easy to deal with. That's why we choose them. 250 divided by 10 is 25. So I know I need to work more than 25 hours as an estimate. But to make sure how many number of hours I need to work to afford buying that camera, I need to do all this work. That's it for today's lesson. You guys have a great day.